It's a pleasure to be here with Associate Head Coach of the Towson Tigers, Offensive Coordinator Anthony Gilardi. How are you doing, Coach?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, I want to start off with, how do you think the team did against Delaware in the last game here?
I think it was a tough start for us when we started playing, kind of get out of whack, getting down 3-0. I think the one thing that we talk about all the time, especially offensively, is one positive play at a time, whether things are going really well or going bad. And I think for him as a whole, from top to bottom, we kind of went away from that. And I think that's as a result of seeing a 10-7 game going the other way, was kind of a result of guys trying to do too much, which leads to more mistakes, on guys missing opportunities that we did have to try and kind of get back in the game.
What else in studying the film, what else, without giving anything away, did you see from Delaware? Should you see him again in the tournament?
I think for us, it's all about us. I think that's some of the things that we talk about all the time, is how we play. Teams have to play us. And I think 5 years ago, it was us worrying so much about what the other teams do and try and get any schematic advantage we can. I think now we're getting to the point where we really focus on us, how we play offense, what we do, and I think sharing the ball, working hard off ball, communicating, and not settling for the first shot, earning a high-quality shot is the key. And I think we see those guys again, or this week with Fairfield, it's really talking about us playing really better Towson lacrosse.
So there were a lot of high-quality shots during the 5-game win streak with 10 or more goals. What else attributed to that high goal amount during that streak?
I think it's just guys playing good lacrosse. I think it's really simple. We don't overstress it. One of the things that we talk about is guys doing 1/6. So everyone just has to do their part, whether it's you're initiating the offense, you're throwing it, you're swinging the ball to the backside, you're working off ball, you're cutting. I think that's really, when you watch us play, which makes us different than a lot of teams, is we really share the ball. And I think that's something that we stress, and guys really buy into it. And I think, again, when you struggle a little bit in some of those games, you don't do that as much. When we were really getting the ball hot in some of those teams in that 5-game streak, was guys were just unselfish, banging the ball. And when we had opportunities to knock it in, we put the ball in the net.
So would you consider Mr. Drenner to be your quarterback, sharing the ball the most?
Yeah, without a doubt. Ryan's the guy, and we've talked about it from, really the fall on. He's probably our best practice guy. He works hard on every rep, which is something that we really spend a lot of time going through, and we put the ball in his stick a lot. And I think teams that try and defend us have to worry about him. Joe Sider gets a lot of the credit for being a big shooter, but Ryan's really the guy who orchestrates our offense. He knows what we're trying to accomplish, how do we want to attack the defenses that we play, and him distributing the ball is key.
So do you remember the specific moment when you decided, all right, Ryan's going to be holding the ball a lot for us here?
I think one year we watched him play, senior in high school. I remember watching him play in the state playoffs, and he had complete command of Westminster's offense and leading those guys. We were like, wow. Coach and I were watching the game and saying, he's really got it. And I think you can see it when a kid's got a bounce and a flow. In the recruiting process, you see it a little, and then when he commands a team. And then when he got here, he's kind of really taken that and run with it, playing midfield his freshman year. Then, really last year was the start of it, and this year he's just taken a huge step forward.
Arguably your toughest game was the Johns Hopkins game, and one thing that I noticed watching the game was there were a couple unforced errors with passing the ball. So is that something you worry about as a coach, or is that something that's just part of the game, you just don't even think about it?
I think for us, we don't really talk a ton about turnovers. I think it kind of gets, I know last year I think we were first in the nation, fewest turnovers per game. This year we've been kind of up in the top ranking as well. We don't really talk about turning the ball over. We talk about fundamentally catching the ball, running through the pass, running through the catch, and stick working the ball the right way. And I think that always leads to guys playing good lacrosse. And I think when you see a team in a game like that, the Hopkins game in particular, we don't stick work the ball well the few times that we had in the beginning of the game, it's frustrating. But again, it's just one positive play at a time. So our guys know that the next time they have the opportunity, stick work the ball properly, and we'll be fine.
I also saw the stats sheet against Hopkins, just one assisted goal. Is that something that concerned you, or was that part of the reason for the loss against Hopkins?
I think that's actually how they played us. I think when you really look at that game, how defensively Coach Petramala and his staff put together a game plan against us was to make us beat them one-on-one. They shut Ryan off for the majority of the game. They pressed X, so we couldn't get the ball through X as easy as we would have liked. So they made it a one-on-one game, and I think that's why you don't have a ton of assisted goals, scoring in transition, scoring on some of those midfield shots. But we did have a lot of opportunities for assisted goals that we didn't finish, and I think that's some of those shots that we had, and invert looks and over the top. We had the opportunity to get goals, and we didn't finish them, which then relies on no assisted goals.
I also see number 10 man-up offense in the nation. What do you think makes your man-up offense able to execute so consistently?
I think that the number one thing with man-up offense is handing it over to Coach Hutchinson. Coach Hutchinson's our volunteer. This was his first year of kind of running the man-up offense, and I think that's been huge for his development as a coach, my development as assistant coach, to kind of trusting somebody with a little bit more reins, and we talk and communicate. But he's done a great job, and if you watch us play man-up, it's the same thing, sharing the ball, getting the ball hot. I think our fundamental offense is the same, whether you're playing up a man or playing against zone or man up. It is really sharing the ball, banging the ball, understanding what your reads are. And again, we don't run a lot of set plays, so Coach has done a great job of really teaching our guys how to move the ball and where the openings are, and the guys have done a good job finishing the ball.
So I want to give you a chance to share with the audience maybe a player that has made a particular sacrifice, makes sacrifices consistently for you. Give them a little love here. Who's somebody that comes to mind when you think about sacrifice in the Towson Tigers?
I think Brian Bolowicki's a guy who, in any other year probably would have first midfield line for us. And I know when Mike Lynch was out for a little bit, he bumped up to the first midfield and played great. He's a guy that could be up there, one of our top 3 middies, any day in practice, any day. And he's really done a good job of being on that second midfield and done a good job with Johnny Mazza, who's been a tremendous freshman for us, and really taking him under his wings. And Tyler Cohn, who's another junior middie, who's been an attackman middie for us. And Brian's really been the leader. And I think as a coach, to be able to hand that over to one of the players and him leading his peers has been great for those guys. It's been great for Brian as a leader, being a captain for us. Definitely we can put him on the first midfield line. He'll score some more goals like he did in the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year there. But his leadership in that role and to get as much production we've gotten from the second midfield, high quality possessions that those guys continue to give us. And we run essentially first and second midfield every other rep. So that's a credit to him and those guys that are playing well. But Brian's really done the greatest job of leading and really sacrificing his personal stats for our team's success.
Coach, best of luck to you going forward this season.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.